As the founder of NOSIGNER, a multidisciplinary design studio based in Japan, Eisuke Tachikawa is an accomplished design strategist and creative educator whose work spans climate adaptation, social innovation, and public communication. In this session, Eisuke, who also happens to be a WDO board member, explores the hidden structures of resilience, highlighting how design can help reshape the ways we collectively understand and respond to the climate crisis.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining World Industrial Design Day. My name is Eisuke and the board of World Design Organization. Today, I would like to share how design can contribute to resilience, or how we can design resilience itself through the lens of biological evolution. Again, my name is Eisuke from Japan, who is now serving as a board of World Design Organization, and also former president of Japan Industrial Design Association, which is a founding member of ICSID. And as well, of course, I'm an industrial designer, but I'm a researcher of climate adaptation. So in a way, resilience is my kind of life theme always. And I believe we can learn resilience from nature, or from the metaphor or structure or system of nature. Needless to say, Japan is quite a vulnerable country because we do have so many natural disasters like earthquake. So, earthquake is the accumulation of many, many kinds of challenges. So actually the natural disaster is not single problem, but kind of, conglomerate of problems in society, like how to make resilient infrastructure, how to save lives, how to keep the food, how to keep the water, or many kind of problem will be required, when you need to be solved. So actually, I believe for resilience, design has quite crucial role, like how to inform people, how to get prepared, or how to inform them in quite fun and entertainable way. This book, or this hazard map, is one of the historical projects in Japan Tokyo Metropolitan Government to publish this kind of disaster prevention book for all of household. Tokyo is one of the largest city. So we do have in Tokyo about 20 million people. In Tokyo metropolitan area, there's more than 6.7 million household. So we published 8 million copies for every household. So this is literally one of the largest publishing projects for the disaster prevention in the world, in the history. But usually such kind of government document is quite boring and sometimes difficult to understand. So actually what we tried to do is how we can design such kind of boring and important informations into something entertainable. So we integrated the information into manga or some beautiful illustrations with quite legible typography. So actually, design has a role not only for making it, but how to make the engagement to the contents. Because usually disaster prevention or disaster, we will adapt after it happened, like COVID. But we merely think about it until it's happened. We even try to ignore it because it's quite fearful to think about. But actually, we really need to think about how to get prepared before it's happening. So we need to adapt, or we need to integrate daily life into disaster prepared situation. And in Japan, there is a concept, phase 3, a disaster preparation not only for the situation happened, but also slightly, secretly, or hiddenly integrated in the daily life of people. So we often working for such kind of concept, like how to change the A4 clear file into face sealed with second. Such kind of information aid or quite adaptive way of usage or bricolage of the idea of industrial design is quite crucial and meaningful. I will skip it, but for example, energy or decarbonization or how to make resilient food culture or how to use heritages or how to use trashes into the space. By the way, this is my office in Yokohama. Please welcome when you come to Japan in the future. But anyway, it's all relating to resilience because resilience is not only saving for your life, but also how to saturate inside of ourselves, inside of our society. Because without such saturation or without such kind of system which is resilient, we never acquire resilience, of course. And amazingly, nature has such system. But at the same time, like climate is getting crazy. So we really need to think about how to adapt ourselves. And I believe that nature has that hint. So I learn from evolution. I'm teaching how to learn creativity or resilience from nature or adaptive evolution. I can say evolution is quite similar to industrial design. Because other than design, evolution is the only phenomena which emerges adaptive design. So I'm teaching the methodology of creative education through the lens of evolutionary biology and teaching how we can acquire the system which is resilient. This is a diagram of the natural selection process from Darwinism. And what we can say is, adaptation is the result which you acquire the resilient system, like our body, like every living organism has. We do have resilience inside of ourselves or inside of our behavior. But for acquiring such result, actually, there's kind of quite crucial two processes. One is mutation. This is the kind of process to change. Somehow it keeps changing. Yeah, afterward, it was revealed that the reason behind of it. But for example, I and my brother, my sister, has quite different taste, different outfit, different many of the things. And such kind of diversity is so-called mutations. Of course, nature, like whether they can, inherit their gene into the next generation. And such processes, it's so-called natural selection. This kind of cycles keep coming and going and again and again and a million times. In result, we do have adapted trait within diversity. So actually we can learn, I believe, for acquiring resilient system, we need to be kind of open to change, like mutative processes. Or we need to have kind of, careful eye for finding the necessity behind of the system. And in result, we do have resilient body, resilient behavior, or resilient system in the society, in nature. For thinking about the city development, actually the time frame which we designed the city is much shorter than the evolution itself. So actually, city is not adapted yet for the coming change because it was not designed for the climate change. So actually, as I mentioned that I'm a researcher of the framework of adaptation for climate change. And actually, there's no such kind of holistic framework which you can say how to get resilience inside of your city. But I do believe we can learn from nature. And what I'm teaching is how to make master planning of the city, like the three-dimensional fitting to the situation, like how water flows, how landslide happens. But usually we do ignore with about such kind of geographical and three-dimensional system somehow. Because maybe we do use map as a flat object, but actually the map is 3D. So we need to learn again from the 3D geometry, like what kind of watershed we are conserving or we are relying on. And as well, we do have the system of body. Like our body have resilience, the system, not only robustness, but also some flexible system, some cyclic system, or some perceptive system is there. Because of it, we kept ourselves safe. But at the same time, like, we evolved the behavior, like for making the resilient community. For example, even me, a cat, will take cover from the place when something dangerous happens. Or they do communicate. They do cooperate. They do learn, memorize. So actually, not only hardware, but also software is the key to make ourselves resilient. I believe, for example, these three kind of scale can be adapted into master planning scale, hardware or industrial design scale, or community scale. So for example, we can learn from geometry, like what kind of shape is fitting to watershed, because this is the kind of system behind of the natural disaster. It's quite predictable that if you analyze watershed, it's quite easily understood where has a risk of landslide, where will be flooded, but the people merely see. So we need to inform them. And also, it's quite crucial to conservation as well. I'm now kind of, made a coined word, which is leaf forest. There's one forest in Miura Peninsula nearby Tokyo. There's one quite crucial example that if you keep watershed as it is, then we can keep the biodiversity around there. Because if you keep the watershed shape, then that is most of the gradation where from upstream to downstream, even it's quite small forest like 70 hectare. The biodiversity originally reside around there can take cover to there, like no. So I'm calling these kind of forest as leaf forest, and now endorsing the movement for expanding these kind of leaf forest concept in the society. And also about industrial design. As an industrial designer, we do have a chance to make more robust system, flexible system, cyclic system, redundant system, or recoverable and perceptive system, like sensors, or like the buffers, or like the structure which is flexible. So these kind of system actually can be adapted into your industrial design. At the same time, not only the hardware, not only the master planning, we do have the ability to inform. Like my book in Tokyo Metropolitan Government, we need to nurture the ability of observability or memorability or predictability, mobility, cooperativity, or communicativity through the information aid or communication design. That will be also quite important. So, for example, hardware scale, we can make the park which has detention pond. Or in the city scale, we can have the ability for the water capacity with city development. Forest conservation, we can learn from the leaf shape of the watershed, like leaf forest strategy. So these kind of framework is not yet known in the society. These are the list of existing climate framework, and none of them could fulfill these 16 measurements. But actually, some of the frameworks are saying it's important. These are from UN's framework, OECD's framework, EU's framework. But actually, what we need to have is, the structure of the holistic picture of resilience. And I do believe nature will be the guideline for understanding what is a resilient situation or system. In addition, I like to inform the one kind of quite brand new project, which I'm now working on. This is the audio guide technology which I invented. And this is basically the most of the tourism digital experience are integrated. But this is also the only audio guide which integrates the hazard map into it. in the society. So we can learn when, for example, natural disaster happens, some pop-up is coming for telling you the alert to take cover from the place. And you can understand where to take cover like this. So this kind of, work is not purely for the disaster prevention because this is the audio guide. Basically, this will work for the tourism. But at the same time, it's quite important to have the concept of phase-free, like how to integrate daily life experience into resilient, prepared system get integrated. Through these kind of ideas or designs, I do believe in the future, if something happens, design can save the lives. Thank you very much.